Welcome back! It is day 8 of the 12 days of Bookmas, and on the 8th day of Bookmas, my true love gave to me 8 fantastic classics. Now, I actually didn't think I was going to have enough for this list, so I was going to split it up in classics I have read and classics I wanted to read, and I realized I actually had quite a few classics I've actually read and really liked, so I only have one book on this list that I haven't read yet that I would like to read. So to start off with the one that I actually haven't read yet, and that would be Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I enjoy Jane Austen's writing. I love Jane Austen's witty banter that she has in her books, and I thoroughly enjoyed the Sense and Sensibility movie adaptation with Kate Winslet and Emma Thompson, because those two women are some of my favorite actresses. I will watch almost anything Kate Winslet and Emma Thompson are in because they are just brilliant women. Because I enjoyed the movie adaptation so much, I have been wanting to read Sense and Sensibility. I just haven't gotten around to actually reading the physical book yet. The next one on my list is actually Northanger Abbey. It's another Jane Austen classic. I loved this one. I saw the British PBS TV adaptation for it, and I really liked it. It was a gorgeously done movie, and I wanted to read it. It was one of the shorter Jane Austen classics, and probably one of my favorites. I love Mr. Tilney. I keep saying you all can keep Mr. Darcy, but I want Mr. Tilney. I absolutely loved their sarcasm, their banter, and their relationship that they had in this book. It was so cute. He's my favorite Jane Austen hero so far. The next one is in fact also Jane Austen, and that is Pride and Prejudice. I have seen the movie I've seen multiple movie adaptations of it actually, except for the Colin Firth BBC one. I haven't actually seen that one yet, believe it or not. And apparently that one is the best, but I really enjoyed the Keira Knightley version as well. Now, I haven't actually read this version of Pride and Prejudice, but I have actually read the manga format of Pride and Prejudice. This book is beautiful. I love the artwork in it. I love the way the story is told. It is a fun, whimsical way of telling a story, and it was simply gorgeous, and it's in its like actual manga format of backwards format, and I thought it was beautiful. I love this story, and I cannot wait to actually read the book version because I've seen enough other media formats of it. The next one is a classic I haven't read since junior high, and it is high time for a reread, and that is Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. I loved Anne's character. I loved her spontaneity, her inquisitiveness, and her beautiful imagination. I had an imagination very similar to Anne's growing up. I would play the type of games that she played with her friends, of all imagination, of being in a different world, and Camelot, and that sort of romanticism of it, and I loved her imagination of that, and I think that was my favorite part of Anne. Another favorite classic of mine is The Princess and the Goblins by George MacDonald. I read this way back when I was, I think, in elementary school. My grandmother had this 100-year-old, like it's 100 years old now, but we had a 100-year-old copy of an abridged version that I found of this in her attic somehow, and I ended up reading it, loving it, and found myself an actual full copy of the book in a secondhand bookstore. This is a beautiful story about a young Princess Irene who meets Curdie, a young miner's son, and Curdie uncovers a plot by evil goblins to kidnap the Princess Irene, and it is their adventures, and there's magic and goblins. It's overall just a really beautiful tale and a great world building book as well. So if you like the world building of C.S. Lewis or J.R.R. Tolkien, then you should pick up George MacDonald's books. In fact, C.S. Lewis was mainly inspired by writing like George MacDonald. The next classic and author is also a friend of C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien, and that is Robin Hood by Roger Lancelyn Green. Roger Lancelyn Green was a part of a little-known group called the Inklings. Roger Lancelyn Green encouraged C.S. Lewis to publish his work, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, after Tolkien said it wasn't any good. Roger Lancelyn Green also suggested the title The Chronicles of Narnia. I love Roger Lancelyn Green's writing. I also love his story about Robin Hood, the thief who robs the rich to give to the poor. It is a fun classic, but heads up, if you've seen any of the movie adaptations and you are expecting a happy ending, don't. This is actually a very depressing ending compared to a lot of the movie adaptations or any other book adaptations of Robin Hood. Another classic I love and enjoy is The Adventures of Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I read Alice's Adventures in Wonderland last year. It was free on my phone with my reader app, so I read it while I was waiting for the bus and stuff, and it was a really fast, fun read. I also enjoyed that whimsical, magical world where the impossible is the possible and all that other fun stuff that Wonderland comes along with it. And last but certainly not least, my all-time favorite classic is Heidi by Joanna Spree. I can't say her name to save my life, but I absolutely loved Heidi. And the fun fact about Heidi, this is actually the first full-length book I read by myself. I had this beautiful Great Illustrated Classics for Children's version that my Oma and Opa sent me for my birthday, and I loved it. It was my first big kid chapter book that I read by myself. I simply love Heidi just because it is a beautiful, sweet, sentimental story. So if you have loved and read any of these, let me know in the description below. Let's chat it up. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and Merry Bookmas!